in our Mahomes era. And here is the list. Again, Jeremy Fowler compiles this for us every single year, talking to executives and coaches and scouts. No surprise that Patrick Mahomes is ranked
Some of these execs
number
was drunk,
one.
Greeny.
Some of these are what?
Some of these execs was drunk.
Some of them were drunk?
Yeah, some of them was drunk.
Okay, well, let me just start then.
It is the offseason.
Looking at the list, which one says to you someone's drunk?
Well, listen, I don't know if I put Justin Herbert up there. He hasn't played, at least even though his numbers have been crazy. But also that number 10 in Dak Prescott, I think that's a fluid spot as well. You know, you can make an argument for a lot of guys there. You know, the fact that Brock Purdy was right there in the MVP race. He's won more playoff games than most people on that list. You talk about his winning percentage as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, last year, you know, we really, you know, pushed him down because we said, look at all the talent that you have. But everybody on that list has immense talent. Brock Purdy showed us something in the playoffs that it wasn't just about turning around and handing the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, that he can push the ball down the field and make game-winning plays, which he did in the pivotal times. So I think Brock Purdy should be high on that list. I think you can make an argument for some of the young bloods, but we really haven't seen him do it at a high level. But, you know, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, there's so many people you can put on that list that's not on that list. And you always, when you make lists, are going to upset some people.
Well, Jeremy, so let me then get to you here. Again, it's your exercise. You do it for us every single year. And as I always say, God bless you, you give us stuff to talk about every single year. But Tua's not on it. Jalen Hurts is not on it. Brock Purdy not on it. What can you tell us about the biggest takeaways?
Yeah, Bart, I must have been getting some drunk texts back when I asked these execs and coaches for a 1 through 10 on the quarterbacks, because some of these are a little funky. Yeah, but so I reach out to like nearly 80 people around the league, execs, coaches, and scouts, try to come to a consensus. Who are the best players at their position right now? If you're picking teams, picking guys in order, how would you rank them? And so we're in a golden age of quarterbacks right now, especially in the AFC. It is ripe for a new champion. There are only 4 active starters, Patrick Mahomes being one, that have a Super Bowl ring. That's a pretty low number traditionally. So you got C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert, all these young guys, Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen is still only 27. Joe Burrow, they're all ready to try to unseat Mahomes. Yeah,
it should be pointed out. The 4 quarterbacks who are currently in the NFL who have won Super Bowls as starters are Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and Matt Stafford. That's it. So, I mean, to his point, there's not a lot there, or there aren't a lot there. There's one that I promised you earlier we didn't get to. I want to read you a quote, okay? And this is from an NFL executive who said of Josh Allen, one of the more overrated players in the NFL. Immense talent, but he makes a lot of mistakes. Yeah. He's underdeveloped at winning at the line of scrimmage, tends to lock onto targets, more of a thrower than precision passer, forces throws into traffic. Robert, you're my quarterback today, and you've watched every snap of Josh Allen's career. Is that a reasonable assessment of Josh Allen, who, by the way, is 3rd on the list?
No, Greeny, it's not a reasonable assessment at all. It sounds to me like that exec must have been getting his tail beat by Josh Allen for a few years now. How is it that Josh Allen is overrated when he just led the NFL in total yards and total touchdowns? How is he overrated when he has a 63-30 record as a quarterback and broke Dan Marino's record for the most touchdowns scored in the first 5 years of an NFL career? So when I look at Josh Allen and this guy says he's overrated, he isn't. He's not overrated. Yes, he has an opportunity to prove that he doesn't need Stephon Diggs, but Josh Allen and Bills Mafia should take this exec and put him through a table, because Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And any team out there, you saw the list, he's 3rd on the list. What to me is overrated, Greeny, is the fact that we allow anonymous execs to go out there and trash players' names without putting their name behind their statement. That to me is overrated. It's got to stop, and it's no shot at our guy for putting together this list or getting these execs to talk, but it shouldn't be a free reign to trash on players who are the face of the league.
And Jeremy, again, who's the one who does it, I don't feel like they're doing that here. The times I've had issues with it are when people question guys' character or something like that. If you're giving an assessment of a player's talent, then what the heck? I mean, this is what this person thinks, and he's entitled to his opinion. I happen to think his opinion is ridiculous. But the one thing that is inarguable, Bart Scott, is that Allen does make mistakes. I mean, when Embo and I did our essay about him last year and everything else, and Bills Mafia fell in love with me, which is the most ridiculous relationship in the world, considering I'm a Jet fan, the haters will come out and they will just point to the interceptions over and over and over again.
Ignoring all he's done to overcome it, right? I mean, like 63-30 is a pretty good record. And 5-5 in the playoffs, which also, by the way, is better than a lot of guys on that list. So I think Quarterback evaluation is so subjective. Like, you could have two very qualified evaluators look at the same quarterback and reach completely different conclusions. And I think that's what Jeremy's talking about, trying to reach a consensus.
Right.
There are going to be outlier opinions. Obviously, this is one, or else he wouldn't be third on the list. But everyone's got flaws.
Yeah.
What do you do to overcome them and win games anyway? And Josh Allen has done more than enough of that.
Okay, let me try and bring some balance to this, right? When you talk about, overrated, underrated, you talk about, a guy in Josh Allen who's immensely talented. But I can see where the exec can say, well, he shouldn't be third, right? Because it's more than just stat stuffing when you talk about, a quarterback. Now, a lot of those stats can be inflated because they don't really run the ball there. He throws the ball a lot, right? And sometimes, like back in the day, Matthew Stafford with Calvin Johnson. Now, we know that he's a great quarterback as well, but he was undervalued because of his circumstances. And environment matters, right? So when you look at Josh Allen, you talk about the mistakes, the turnovers, and things of that sort. I think when you talk about going through the progressions, can he process at a high level, right? And those are some of the things that you ask. 3 is kind of high for me for him, but I can see the argument both ways. Yeah. But he's a guy that we're going to see a lot about this year, now that he has to go through Knox, Kincaid, and Jared Cook. And sometimes less is more. So I think taking his weapons away is going to allow him maybe to play a better quarterback to protect himself from himself instead of trying to be Superman all the time.
Robert, go.
Yeah, see.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
it was a Jeremy.
Someone's telling me in my ear.
Go, Robert, go. Yeah.
Yes, to Bart's point and your point about the subjectiveness of the quarterback ratings, it's not subjective? The fact that Josh Allen has led the Bills to 4 straight AFC East division titles. Right. That has nothing to do with stats. That's him. Mm-hmm. That's him being a leader.
And listen, we're picking hairs, right? We're talking about maybe Josh Allen should be 5 instead of 3, right? Because, all the Lamar fans would say, hold up, my guy's a 2-time MVP. He played with no true wide receivers and not a true number 1 forever, and he put that team on his back. So, when I say subjective, I'm talking about, when you're picking hairs and talking about, good to great, some people just have different preferences.
Right. I think it's splitting hairs, but I
splitting hairs. Picking hairs.
Jeremy, go.
Hairs.
Either way.
Yeah, picking hairs.
Yeah, so that overrated label is not the consensus. I would say most still view Allen as like the guy they would take even behind Patrick Mahomes, or even there are a few that would take him before Patrick Mahomes. But there is that fatigue right now. It's like enough is enough with the turnovers. What is he going into, year 7? That's sort of the issue. We're talking about like 78 turnovers or so, not only interceptions, but fumbles, just carelessness. So when you're talking about the quarterback position, that's a huge priority when it comes to winning and losing. And that probably has had an effect on the Bills not breaking through. So all that said, most expect him to do that. But this is a list where it's just trying to bring you the real, trying to bring you inside the NFL with conversations. These are things that come up in conversation. It's not railing on Allen. Most of the comments about him are very glowing as an immense talent.
No. We're not I totally get it. And in this case, I think it's fair. It's someone's opinion. But you know what it makes me think of as one who's covered the league a long time, and Dan, you have as well? How differently we view quarterbacks now. Because we could have said almost all the same things about Brett Favre in his prime that we say about Josh Allen right now. Unbelievable talent, does everything right. Every once in a while throws an interception that makes you say, what in the world is he doing? And you know what he became? He became everybody's favorite player doing it, right? Everyone loved him. He's a gunslinger. Literally, John Madden never stopped talking about him once the entire season. And with Allen, because the sport has changed, because we view turnovers so differently, so there is so much more emphasis now on not turning the ball over than there was even 20 years ago. Yeah. I think that's the difference.
I also think part of it is this. Honestly, it sounds silly to say this, but it's true. There's so much more emphasis on winning championships as the ultimate arbiter of greatness, right? Like that didn't used to be what it is now. And the fact that Josh Allen hasn't been able to get past Patrick Mahomes is held against him. And it fuels sort of the if there's a negative evaluation, too many turnovers. If he cleaned that up, maybe he could get past him. So I think there's definitely a difference. But the other thing is, like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, obviously the guys that help with their legs in ways that quarterbacks didn't used to, help you win in different ways that again, overcome whatever other issues you might have.
It's a Jason Tatum effect. Until you win a championship, you can never be elevated into that rarefied air.
But to the point that we made at the beginning of the conversation, Mahomes is the only guy under the age of like 37 who has won one.